We were brought up in Brighton, in the south of England, and my father was in the Navy in the war and was an engineer. And so there were 3 of us children, and we had a normal education for England, comprehensive school, and that's about it really. We just grew up as a normal family, and then I went to work and I was working as an apprentice, and I ended up being a stainless steel fabricator. And what did you do, Pat?
I was an administrator, and it wasn't until I was about 18 that I started to ride horses and learned that you could make that into a career. So then I went to train to become an instructor, and I used to work in a riding school, and then I went into a private place, which is where we were then working together on the farm. And it wasn't until my mid-40s that I stopped working with horses, because my back was bad, was one of the things, and Tony was being threatened with redundancy. And of course, working with horses, you don't make any money at all. It's a vocation, and so then I retrained to work on computer, and then got a job in a small company near where we lived, which was a brilliant place to work. So just buying and selling and that sort of thing within the company.
It must be about 18 years ago now we started sailing, but we had our own smaller fishing boats for a few years before that, and I'd always been fishing with my father off the seafront in Brighton. We used to go out on boats, so I've always had a bit of contact with the sea, but we really started sailing 16 years ago, all the time really, every Saturday and Sunday, every weekend, because once you buy a boat it's a big commitment, and so we'd use it every weekend and every holiday, and we were then trying to get where we could actually stop working at all and come on a trip like this. So that was the plan. Seasons are very important, because up in the northern hemisphere we've had to worry about being somewhere tied up for the winter, but now we've been tied up for the southwest monsoon, so we're staying in here for the southwest monsoon, because this harbour is going to be shut effectively, so we've either got to go now to Thailand or stay in here. We can't go in and out after the monsoon starts, so that schedules our destinations quite a lot. But again, it would have been winter, summer and winter, or prevailing winds too. Sometimes we went from Turkey, in the south of Turkey, up into the Black Sea through the Dardanelles and the Bosphorus, past Istanbul, and we had to get up there early in the season, because otherwise the winds were very predominant from the north, and we would never have made it later in the season. So that schedules where our plans are, where you go, is quite important. The weather says a big important part of that. The worst experiences for us was to come up here at night along the Indian coast, because the fishing boats were numerous, many fishing boats, plus smaller boats with nets out, and they were not adhering to international rules and regulations with lights
that we can understand.
No.
Yes.
So therefore, we couldn't understand what we were looking at. And we should have really had some help when we were in Mumbai, because we have been to all the Royal Bombay Yacht Club, and we filled forms in, but it would have been very nice if somebody had said, look, this is the type of lights you're going to see up here, and this is probably what they're doing. So you would think that the difficult thing for us would be when the weather is bad, but when the weather is bad, we can just reduce the sails, not a problem. But if we'd had a lot of wind with all those fishing boats and a lot of lightning and we couldn't tell what they were doing, then that would felt very unsafe for us. We felt very threatened by that. Whereas the big winds and navigation in the rocks is not a problem, because we have to do that all the time. But to interpret what all these boats were doing was very, very difficult and very tense. We had to concentrate all night, 2 hours each, 2 hours on, 2 hours off.
He is a very good cook. Yeah. He does all the cooking. We do particularly like Indian food, and he would make a British version of a curry, which is always wonderful. And anything, pasta, roast dinners, English style stuff, and he will cook anything. I'm a lady of leisure.
She does all the washing up and then clean it all and the washing. Yeah. When we come through Oman, we could see in the distance water spouts coming up, and as we got closer, they were sperm whales, 18 metres long. So we're looking at them bigger than the Vanti. The length of that boat there. And they'd be weighing 100 tons or something like that, some ridiculous amount. So beautiful to see them in the water, and the turtles and dolphins. So we enjoy that. And another favourite that we had is if you are going to have this life, you imagine where you would want to be. Well, when we were in Turkey or Greece, we could put our anchor out and back the boat with a line to an olive tree in a beautiful little cove, and tie the line to the olive tree and swim in crystal clear water. The water is absolutely crystal clear. You can see the anchor go right down, and you can see all under the boat and everywhere, and beautiful. If we were sailing really fast, we'd be sailing at 9 knots, really fast. If we are motoring really fast, 7.5 knots. So we are faster under sail than we are under engine. But in general, we would only be doing 6 knots, 7 knots, whether we're motoring or sailing. We haven't actually been. The recognised doldrums were in the Atlantic and things like that. Well, they're the intertropical convergent zones, and we've come through them in the Red Sea, and we had no wind and rain, but we were motoring down the coast of Eritrea at that time. And so it's not like being out at sea where you just sit and do nothing, because you can't motor if you're in the middle of an ocean, because you don't have enough fuel to get you to your destination. So you have to wait for the wind. We've got a VHF radio and a satellite phone. We got an EPIRB. Have you ever heard of an EPIRB? So we have an EPIRB that we can activate to the satellites if we're in danger, and communication through the mobile phone if we're close enough for a signal, like here, and also with the computer with a modem. We will be using that for emails, communication import. This is Henri Vauquier built boat, designed by Ed Dubois and built in France, and it's quite a well-known, very strong, very fast cruiser racer, they call it. So you can race it, or it's got fitted out so that you can sleep and cruise in it as well. And that's basically this type of boat, and it's 40 foot long. We have a stern cabin, aft cabin, and a galley, chart table, saloon,
big saloon,
shower and toilet, and another shower and toilet up front, and another double cabin in the front. starting with the compass down here, which is obviously self-explanatory. This is the autopilot, which will steer us electronically. We just press that and adjust it. This is a multi-navigation aid. We can get anything from any of our other instruments will come up on here. So if you're back here, I can ask it what the course and speed over the ground, what our position is. It will tell us anything from any of the other instruments will come back to that, and I can ask it what we are doing. The height of the mast on here, 20 metres from the sea to the top. This one's been built specifically to be very fast and very strong. Specifically fast under engine, under sail. Small engine. This engine's only about 43 horsepower, and yet we can still go along very quickly. I can do the same speed as Davanti, and they're about 130 horsepower or more. But we can sail in light winds, and these other boats can't do that. They need more wind. But this is a pure sailing boat, pure performance sailing boat. This is more not the luxurious side, but you have to come and look in. It's beautifully and comfortable and luxurious, but this is more race orientated. For it hasn't got big patio windows and dining chairs out the back here, which is what you're really inferring, I think. This is more a working sailing boat. But by working I mean sailing, whereas other ones are more for sitting in the harbour and luxury and sitting with a cup of tea or a gin and tonic wherever you happen to live. This one is hard work to work. Big sails, and all the winches all have to be worked by hand. So there's a lot of work involved in sailing this boat. First of all, I want to see something of India, not just the sea. It is a big problem that when we are sailing all the time, we only see this bit of land, and then we move on and we saw that bit of land. But we want to see the country itself. We want to see the wildlife and the people of India, and not just in one place. We want to go further out into the land. And we've got 5 months here in order to do that, and we're very much looking forward to it. This much more than anywhere else we've been, because this is so diverse and so different. We've been in the northern hemisphere, and a lot of those countries have things that we're used to. But now we're looking at trees I've never seen before, birds I've never seen before, and I want to go and see things like elephants, which I've never seen other than on the circus. Yes, we want to go and see some of the inside of India and the people. We find the people are very, very interesting when you go to a country, to see how they live and enjoy living it with them. We go not to just be a tourist that flies in for just a week or two. We stay in places and get to know the people. And we have already friends here from, Gibson and Nidesh. They met us in Turkey, so they've come all the way with us, and we've got to know them very well and enjoyed their company. And we're hoping they're going to show us some of their life here. So that's what we're after achieving in the short term, in the next 5 months. And then maybe we might go to Thailand, and maybe Indonesia, and we'll see how long we can go.